What's up, everybody? Dave Bartosiak here, and I've got another chart of the day. This time, talking about Cheniere Energy, ticker LNG. I give you 2 seconds to guess what it is these guys do. That's right, liquefied natural gas. So they've got a big transport center down there in New Orleans, basically, right? Or terminal, rather, I guess is the word for it. Now, there's been this news about the this Alaskan pipeline that the Trump administration wants to build, and I wanted to take a look at the impact on this. And granted, these guys aren't really going to be. I guess there's potential that they could be at the end of that pipeline up there and make some money on shipping it out. But right now, basically, nobody knows who's going to write the check. It's going to cost like $40 billion. But anyway, when the story popped up, I said, heck, let's take a look at this stock because I remember this from way back in the day. I haven't looked at it in a while. Look at this thing. Look at these COVID lows, under $30. Today, it's at 241. Quite the move higher. And look at how great it's been. So the 200-day moving average, which I have here in red, you get like a little bit of a tag here in July of 2022. And it flirts around with it as that moving average shorter goes horizontal, and the stock kind of finds this range that it's chopping between. And then eventually it breaks on higher. And here we are, another mid breakout, I believe. And you got those Liberation Day lows. You're going to see that theme through many, many stocks that you look at, but those lows being on the day that all these tariffs were announced. And what's happened since then? Lots of upside, but you're not out of the woods yet, which is a theme for the broad market. So again, we got these Liberation Day lows. Took out that 200-day. First time it's really done that since it traded below there in July of 2024. So you got a nice little spike up to all-time highs, and then this nasty retrace, okay? I mean, if you're a long-term shareholder and you get the story for this, that's great. But if you happen to be one of the poor saps that maybe bought a bounce of this 50-day or something like that, it kind of got a little ugly. Get that nasty wick down. That's why we try to tell people not to panic on don't panic on the first day of a 200-day retrace, especially if you get waited out to the second day. Sometimes you get these nice reversals, and that's sort of what happened here. Zoom in on a little bit more so you can see it. You get that wick down intraday, and they buy it, end up closing above the 200-day, and it never closed below it since then, or has yet to close below it since then. And now that 200-day is just one of the support levels. The 50-day has come into play. Same sort of scenario, folks. Don't panic on the first day under the 50-day. See what happens. And in this case, it was a short-term buy signal. Now, you do have overhead resistance, really right about where you were, that swing high, which intraday today, we failed to get over. There's been some downside pressure here on the market. This is on Tuesday, June 3rd. So you do see a little bit of selling pressure in the intermediate term. It lends itself to this sort of new kind of range story that we can talk about. Now, the 50-day is strong, but it's not the strongest of indicators. So what I mean by that is you see here how you get these days where we kind of zip below it, zip above it, zip below it, and you're always kind of lingering within the range. We talk about this a lot in my nightly write-ups, because if you drew like the Bollinger Bands over this 50-day, you would kind of see that most of the time it's bouncing within one standard deviation of that 50-day. So a little bit of negativity today. I wouldn't start crying about it because the volume is pretty low. You're not oversold. Last time you were oversold on the RSI was way back in early 2025, and that is when the stock ended up selling off. You can see that here. Big spike in the RSI, and then when it crosses back under, this, my friends, is when it's time to get out of Dodge for sure. And I think that's what you saw there. Now, in terms of oversold, haven't seen oversold. We've only seen overbought. So, range bound, nice little drift to the upside, though, which I'm happy about. And if you zoom out, you'll see that the overall trajectory has been pretty nice, right? But like a lot of these energy stocks, it's like you spend some time trending, then you spend some time consolidating. We're moving sideways for the most part. Spent some time trending. Now it looks like we're spending a little bit of time consolidating, but we'll see, I suppose. I don't think that a breakout from 260 happens tomorrow. It's been more slow and steady, upside action on this. With today's sell off, I still like that. I'm calling it a sell off. It's only 66 bips right now, but I still like that it's well within the top end of yesterday's range. Granted, by the time you guys see this, you're gonna see if I was right or not. If it does stay within that range, or if it melts down a little bit more. The way the market's looking right now, I think it stays within the range. So as long as it's kind of moving with a set of higher lows here, that's a good thing. But keep an eye on that all-time high, just under 260, for there to be a lot more pressure up there should it get there. Check that 50-day next time it pulls back. So the people who are a little bit more patient, I'd be waiting for a pullback to that 50-day again to go ahead and buy. Or ultimately, coming down to the 200, but you're gonna have to be a lot more patient than most folks. But I think what you can do is you put together a list of stocks, some decent ideas that you're passionate about, and just wait. Put some alerts. Wait till they come down to those 200-day moving averages, and you end up getting much better entry. You might miss a lot of names, but if you have a lot of names on your portfolio, on your radar list, then there's a lot more to choose from when things retreat just a little bit. All right, folks, there you have it for my chart of the day. If you're here on Zacks.com, be sure to follow the author. That way you get all of these chart of the day ideas. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel. For everybody here at Zacks, I'm Dave Bartosiak, and I will see you all in a couple of weeks. Thanks.